Have you ever been pursuing a sale with a potential client and you thought, the client objects and says the price is too high? How did you respond? Perhaps you had nothing to say, or later you realized that your response missed the mark. If you've ever been in that kind of delicate situation, well, then this video is for you. My name is Doug C. Brown, and in this video, I'm going to take you through some of the most common and ineffective responses that you'll want to avoid when a customer says, the price is too high. I'm also going to give you some pointers on better responses that you can give. After doing some research about this on the internet, I found that there were many possible responses that were recommended for dealing with this objection. Of these, I chose 5 that are often recommended, but actually ineffective. Let me start with the first one. The first one is compared to what? Asking the prospective client compared to what is simply offensive, and with this response, you're shooting down the client, and they will most likely won't reveal the reasoning behind the objection. This question does not acknowledge the fact that buyers may have a specific budget in mind and that it's a real concern that they might not be able to pay for the service or they have no idea on how to get the funds for it. For most people, it's easier to say, it's too expensive than to admit they might not have the money, as they might not want to be judged by their monetary status. Until you discover what I call the real it, asking that question, compared to what, can cause more harm than good. Now, some sellers might also frame this response as, so what you're saying is that our prices are high in comparison to our competitors. Now, this statement is argumentative and could easily push the sale away. What you're doing here is introducing the idea of competitors into your clients. And even though the buyer may not have even originally thought about checking out the competition, they may hear this and think, well, maybe I should have looked at the competitors. Another recommended response to the objection, the price is too high, is, how much is this going to cost you to do nothing? This response indicates that you do not care about the buyer's situation and instead you're only solely focused on and interested in making a sale. This statement is also insulting as you're assuming that they're doing nothing and this might not be true. They might be doing things but, for example, in a not serving way. Another one, what's too expensive? When you answer with what's too expensive right out of the gate, the client feels like you're positioning to justify your position. And their natural response will be to dig in and defend that position on their own. This will result in a war of words rather than a conversation about how your product or service can solve the buyer's problem. And with this untactful answer, you are shifting the focus from finding a suitable solution to lowering the value of your product. And this is definitely not what you want. If you're trying to earn money from making the sale, you want them to understand value. Next one. Okay. So which part don't you want? This response is insulting and will only result in an argument for you. It's almost like equivalent of telling a hungry person, hey, if you don't want to pay for the whole chicken, you need to be satisfied with only eating the bones. And while they may not want to buy the whole chicken, framing the question in this way will possibly leave the potential buyer feeling insulted. Now, the idea behind this question isn't bad, but it must be done with an appropriate tone and with more thoughtfully chosen words that are used in a conversational manner. And the last one here, how soon would you need to see an ROI for this to work with your budget? It's advisable to steer clear of that response as it will likely result in unhealthy expectations, and if your promises to the buyer do not factor in the reality, the abilities and skills, you will eventually have to deal with an unsatisfied client. While the buyer needs certainty to buy your product, you have to be careful in giving a guaranteed ROI within a short period of time because most of the time, the ROI the buyer expects is shorter than what's possible to deliver. Those are the 5 common and most ineffective questions that will come off as confrontational. So what can you ask instead to amicably resolve an objection? A great approach would be to tactfully ask the buyer why they feel the price is too high. For example, you could say, I appreciate you making the statement. May I ask if you're concerned about the return on investment, or is this about timing? Or do you want to consult with others before making the decision? Craft your question based on the clues they're giving you during your conversation and let them talk. This can help reveal the true reason behind their objection without you trying to guess and making inaccurate assumptions. Open-ended questions are also a great way to get the buyer talking and to make them feel comfortable. For example, you could respond to a client by saying, That's very interesting statement that you just made about the price being too high, and I appreciate your honesty. May I ask what your criteria is and how you made that call? I could give a lot of examples on how we can phrase words to better deal with objections, but I want you to remember this sentence. Resolving instead of crushing, overcoming, ignoring, or avoiding objections will bring you more money from a sale, as well as more friends and business partners. So thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, please like it and subscribe to my channel to hear more about my sales revenue growth insights. Also, please comment and let me know your thoughts, as well as what would you like to see me talk about next. To your success.